All right, it's my pleasure. I have Robert Trausch from Chico Housing Action Team here on a pre-record. And Robert's just going to say some words around Tyler Stevens, and he's got some really powerful words to say around our mental health system here in Butte County. Welcome to KZFR, Bob Trausch.
Thank you so much, Bill, for having me. Yeah, we had Tyler. We really worked so hard with Tyler. He was such a really nice kid, especially when he was on medication. But it's like so many people who have mental illness, when they're off of medication, they don't really understand. They don't have the ability to understand what's going on in their life. And the system tends to work backwards. It actually punishes people like that. They wait until they make a big mistake rather than treating them early or allowing a family to say, hey, this person needs help. And then they punish him. They take him to jail. They send him to Atascadero or some other place where they force him on medicine. Then they bring him back and prosecute them or maybe persecute them because of their mental illness. So our system works backwards. Rather than saying, hey, this person has a problem, we have to work with it now, or a parent saying, my son or daughter has a problem and we need to respond to it. Instead of that, we wait until something major happens, and then we punish them, and then we force them on medication, and again, we prosecute and put them in jail. I know that from my own experience with my own children in my own life, and that's so unfortunate that it works backwards. A kid like Tyler should have had services from the state, from the federal government, taking care of him, understanding he had a problem that he couldn't deal with, that he wasn't aware of. When you're in a state like he is, or anyone with mental illness, when they're off of medication and need to be medicated, need services, need to have an understanding of their mental illness, we don't respond to it until a big mistake is made. And that's why something like, from my perspective, Laura Law is so important, because Laura's Law allows parents or people who love you to say, my son or daughter or my niece or nephew is in trauma and they can't see a way out. They don't have the ability to reason, to understand they need help. I want them to have help. And we don't have that in Butte County. And in most places, we don't have laws like that. It's been taken away from us. We've given all the authority to someone who can't reason. And we need to change the law, and we need to have the police force also look at differently, and the courts look differently at how we treat the people who have these illnesses.
You know, one thing I've seen since I got involved in this almost 7 years ago, Bob, is, when you look at a behavioral health client, they have this infamous, when they're looking at whether he should be released from a PUF or a temporary hold, are they a threat to themselves or others, and can they take care of themselves? I really think we need to push the fact, if they know the person is mentally ill and they've been acting out and they're going to go live homeless on the street, well, they're certainly not able to take care of themselves. And as we saw in the case of Tyler and many others, Bob, they certainly are a risk to themselves and others living on a dangerous street with no shelter.
Absolutely. And the reality of the system, there's not enough money there. So you get sent to behavioral health. And what do you get? You get maybe 3 days in there. You get a cocktail that knocks you out. It takes a really long time to understand your mental illness. It takes a really long time to change the brain patterns to allow you to understand that better. And instead of doing that, we stick someone in there. We don't have the resources. We have not enough beds, not enough staff. So you get 3 days max in most cases, and you're back out in the street. You've been medicated enough to knock you out where they can say, well, you're not a danger to yourself and others. Now you can go back out in the street. And exactly what you're saying. On the street, there's predators. There's people there that can take advantage of you. You obviously can't take care of yourself. If you could, you wouldn't be in that situation in the first place. And it's just, like I say, our system seems to run backwards at this point.